Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Be the Wolf. I'm here today with Jen Mitchell Love, and she is in the middle of the most honest evolution of her career. Now, if you've been listening to Be the Wolf for a long time, you understand that there's an aspect of truth that is within you that not everybody's living by. Like the wolves, they can't really try to be anything other than a wolf. They are just the truth of who they are. And in that, they contribute to the ecosystem in a way that no other animal does. And so we as humans, we like to be something different than the truth of what we are because we want love, we feel lack, we want safety, whatever it is, we want money, we're afraid that we'll lose something, all these different tons of reasons that feel so legitimate. But in that, in hiding away that aspect of ourselves, we tend to lose something. We tend to lose our magic, we tend to lose the way that we can contribute to our own ecosystem. So I'm super excited, Jen, to talk about this honest evolution of your career. Now, I know that for nearly 20 years, you were a traditional family law attorney doing everything right, according to who, but you had all the things, the credentials, winning the cases, you were checking the boxes, but it never felt quite right, correct?
Yes, yes. I was a litigation attorney for the first 9 years,
Okay.
and that was very eye-opening and very amazing in so many ways, so I could actually intimately feel what that destruction in that courtroom setting, what it feels like and what it does to kids and what it does to people, and yeah, for the last 10 years, I've been mediating, but it has been exactly what you just described. I've been on my own personal spiritual journey, and my practice was kind of doing what my practice was doing, and then yeah, over the course of it's so interesting to talk to you today because it's like at the space where it's like, ooh, we're fully shifting into merging my private spiritual life with my work because my guides are so strongly telling me that that's where we're at right now in the human consciousness, is this merging, is this sharing of the information that's come through about this shift in the human consciousness and how these old ways of being are broken and not working anymore, and we need to create new ways.
Well, and one of the things that I think we as humans do or have historically done since probably the Industrial Revolution, if we've separated life from work.
Hmm.
We are holistic beings. And so they're to compartmentalize work, to
Hmm.
compartmentalize our marriage, to compartmentalize our kids' life and our friends and everything else. It's like this breaking of who we are into pieces that, oh, I can only be this way over here. But the thing is, we're a holistic being. Even our doctor, like you talked about human consciousness. And, I think that everything's a map of where we are. We look at the Western medicine doctors, everything is broken up into these pieces, and they're not looking
Yeah.
at the fact. Unless
Hmm.
now functional medicine has become a thing, but they're not looking at the fact that we are a holistic being with all these systems working together. But when
Totally.
we're trying to separate them, it creates, well, you've lived it. Let's talk about it.
Totally. Totally. I love that you brought up medical. I don't use any pharmaceuticals, or my healing is the earth and the sun and breathing and meditating. And
Yeah.
but yeah, the legal system is the same. It's diseased in the same way, and I think divorce especially, I feel like, again, in the last like 6 months, I really have become very clear of the difference. And even, sometimes when you say third dimensional, fifth dimensional, people are like, what is she talking about? But it's energy. It's vibration. They're both here at the same time. But the heaviness of the family law courtroom and making one of the most difficult experiences of people's lives, making it this like battle where you have attorneys billing in 6-minute increments where this is a job for them. But this is the real life of these people, and they have real children and they're real families. And after the divorce, they really have to continue to co parent. And I think, the way that I see divorce now, like today, and the evolution up until today, it's like it is such a sacred transition of your life, that you're being given, where you really are being given the opportunity to see the reflections from your spouse. And of course, in divorce, they're so triggering, they're so strong. And of course, because that's what they're meant to be. They're meant to show you that so you can identify what energy you are still remaining stuck in. Otherwise, it wouldn't be triggering you, and allow yourself to release that so you can really shift into this space of co-creating your dream life. And I think the courtroom setting to me now is just like there's no way that people can do that because there's so much noise, there's so much stress, there's so much disempowerment. And what I'm talking about and what you feel and live is a space of empowerment, of like using this as a vehicle to change your whole life and really better understand why you are feeling the way you're feeling from your spouse, and also embrace you've always felt that way your whole life. It's just been different things outside that have been causing it. So yeah, it's such a really deep transition in people's lives. And I think kind of the programs, the way, like, I love Be the Wolf. I love that so much. I love that you talk about this. I love the energy of your podcast is this. I love that this is your energy that you're sharing, because it's so important, because I feel like there are so many, sheep or whatever you want to call them in that old way that are just so deeply stuck in that, and they're miserable and they're overwhelmed and they're stressed and they're eating a lot and they're drinking a lot or doing whatever they're doing. And if they shift into this space of being the wolf, they could really embrace, like, okay, wait a minute, what am I doing? Is this in alignment? Is this not? So yeah, there's a whole shift, as you know. I mean, it's really exciting right now.
Yeah. So let's break it down because there's a lot of people who are in the place where they haven't realized the shift because there's the old way of how
Mhm.
do we operate? We divorce, we battle, we
Yes.
fight, like, and this person's the villain and I'm the victim. And, the other person is thinking the same thing. And then the kids are taught and caught in the middle. And
Mhm.
fuck, I know because I do deep subconscious work that unwinds like that deep patterning. And that stuff really messes up the kids up. And because
Totally.
it makes kids not feel safe. And when you grow up not feeling safe, you spend your life in a place of either hiding, fighting, or pretty much that's it, or fawning. And
Mhm.
that never creates the freedom, the peace, the love, the joy that we crave. And so many people who have come from that place are the people who are getting divorced. And so it's so important that they move through it in a different way so they don't create more of the same. But in a showing of why that is so important, let's talk about your specific journey because
Mhm.
we know the courtroom and divorce and all of that is not great. And we know the dynamics of what we've known it historically to be.
Mhm.
And the only way we can know what it's moving towards or what it could move towards is to understand you better.
Mhm.
So, for you, what was the old way of how you operated in your career, in your relationships, in your health?
Mhm. Totally. I mean, I always call it programs. I just think it's kind of, for me, it's easy to understand that. But I went to law school, worked at a law firm, and was taught, I mean, all throughout law school, you're taught how to be a lawyer. And in the law firm, you're taught what to do. And it really is focused on billing. There's a lot of focus on your billable hours. And it was just, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, longer, sometimes weekends, like trying to get the billable hours in. And it was very stressful. It was very external, but I really was in it. I knew, and I didn't understand energy the way that I understand it now. But I remember I would go to court and I would hold my thumb, like right here, I would squeeze. And now I understand why, but I didn't realize that was like a pressure point that I could squeeze to make me feel better. I just was doing it in court because it would make me feel better. And then my kids came. And so we started having kids later, age
Okay,
wise.
before
Oh
we get
yeah.
to the kids, talk to me about the stress. Like, what did it feel
Oh,
like in your body? What were you doing as a result of the stress?
oh my gosh.
Yeah, talk to me
Drinking a lot of alcohol, watching a lot of TV. I've always exercised. I've always been a swimmer, and sauna, steam room, hot tub has always been important to me. So I was doing that. But it was just, and nothing ever happened in court. That was the weird thing. Like when I'm reflecting back then, it's like I would do all this stuff. I feel like I was working, and nothing was happening. Nothing was ever moving forward. My clients in the litigation space, they'd start one place, and you brought up children, in that system. At first, my clients wouldn't say, like, oh, I want to destroy our children. I want to mess them up for the rest of their life. They wouldn't say that. And the kids wouldn't be part of it. They'd be like, I don't want to hurt the kids. I don't want the kids to be affected. But all of the stress in that space, I mean, truly everything in the family law court system. And, there's all the other systems too. This is the problem. They're all external. There is a right, there is a wrong, there is a good, there is a bad. It's like everything is labeled, everything is judged, everything, like your dirty laundry is aired for, so your attorney can make your spouse look bad in the eyes of the judge. It's all a public record. The people can't speak. And so there were many times that I was in court where we would be talking about like their children, we're arguing about their children, and opposing counsel would say something that my client didn't like or wasn't true. And my client would say something, of course, because this is their children.
right.
And the judge would say, counsel, take control of your client. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. These are just this is his child that we're talking about. Like, it's not my child. It's not opposing counsel's child. It's definitely not yours. This is actually their life. It was just, and even the way I found like I didn't even like being in the courtroom because it was so stagnant. There were never plants. It was like painted like this gross white or beige. I mean, it just is like, so there's no life to it. And just even the structure of it, I found a little bit, even when I was in it, I was like, is this really the way that it is? Because you have a judge elevated at the front of the courtroom looking so smart in the robe, and everyone being very respectful, which is what it is. But then you have the first like 3/4 of the courtroom that is for the judge and the attorneys, and we're all in like comfy chairs, with these big long tables, and we're all talking to each other about like, ooh, where'd you go on vacation, how are you, how are your kids, blah 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 blah. And then the last like quarter of the courtroom, if that, is for the people who are actually getting a divorce and have to go through this legal process of best interests of kids, fair and equitable for money stuff. But there's a physical barrier. And then they're on like these really uncomfortable wooden benches. It's like, what is this? Like, what
Right.
is this?
And for you in those moments when you were there and the judge is like reprimanding your client for trying to speak up for
Mhm.
the kids, like what's going on internally for you in that?
Oh my gosh, the whole time I was there 9 years. And the whole time rules never made a lot of sense to me in my life. Like that's part of the reason I became an attorney, is because I was like, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money and I don't have to follow all the rules because I'm going to know a way to like get around them.
Mm,
And the rules in the courtroom, I was always just kind of thinking like, why are we doing it this way? Like my feeling inside was more frustration of like, what is going on here? Like back then, and I graduated law school in 2006. So back then, it's probably different now, but we would have paper for the orders. We'd have to handwrite the orders and put carbon paper in between and then write these orders. And almost every time I would give it to the judge would be like, counsel, your handwriting is terrible. And I'd be like, I don't understand why you don't have computers in here where I could just type it up and print it. It's nice and clean. Both people could sign it. You could sign it. Like, so that I always had that frustration. I always felt it was very archaic. I always felt nothing ever happened in there. And that for me, like the way that I live my life, the way that I structure my life with goals and dreams and timelines and like let's move things forward, let's not stay in this mucky gross space. It Nothing happens there. It was so frustrating. And opposing counsels, I have from 9 years, I have five opposing counsels in 9 years of being a litigation attorney that I actually refer out to people because those were the only five that actually worked with me. All of the rest of them would file a motion. They'd file an emergency motion, which meant that I had zero time to plan. I had to be at court the next morning at 9 a.m. for whatever emergency they had. I mean, it was just like the whole time I was in there, seriously, I was thinking, this is so ridiculous. Like, this just, it doesn't make any sense. I could have 40 cases with 3 children in 39 months because nothing ever happens.
And, it's interesting, and I'm sure the people watching or maybe listening can feel just you going back to that place. Like you
Ugh,
feel stressed. You
totally.
sound stressed. You're
It's so
talking
gross.
faster. You're like, "Ah, ah, ah, ah,
Oh,
ah." So obviously that doesn't feel great.
no.
Have you had to put a word or two to describe the way you felt in general in that
Mm.
environment, what would those words be?
Overwhelmed and very dull. Like, just my light, I didn't have as bright of a light. I felt
Mhm.
very dulled. I felt very, yeah, kind of like in the matrix in that goo.
Right.
Like I was in the goo.
I find it so interesting too that you wanted to become a lawyer to figure out how to get around the rules. And
Yeah.
then what you did is and this is what we do, people,
Hmm.
we want to do something to prevent something, to get away from something, like, right? You wanted to get around the rules for freedom, maybe?
Yeah, I never really loved rules. I mean, I think I can understand them, I do understand them like for the masses to like kind of make some order, but I think a lot of the rules in place just they kind of like really don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I did what I wanted to help people. I've always wanted to help people. I wanted to have a platform where I could be in a position where I could help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now I feel like what I'm doing is that, like, I'm helping a lot of people. We're kind of following the rules, but only the ones that we have to get a judge's signature.
Right, right, right.
Everything
So
else is very free and expansive.
yeah, so moving from this dull and
Ugh,
overwhelm to free and expansive is
totally.
so now you began to feel like, okay, this is not the right thing. And
Mhm.
so often in our journey to becoming the wolf, like we don't just rip off the band-aid and all of a sudden we are like totally free and totally myself.
Mm.
Every stages.
This has been a 15-year journey.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, okay. It's like that first time you stand up for yourself and it was like really awkward and not so great. And then the next time it gets a little bit better. And then
totally.
like later down, 20, 30 more times, you're like,
Mhm.
it comes off with a totally different energy.
Totally.
Um, so what was the first step to getting out of that overwhelm and dull?
I mean, for me, it happened pretty quickly. For me, I trained So I was a litigation attorney, and then I was always looking at other things. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep being an attorney. I do like family law. I like working with people and with families, and knowing that there's an impact with kids. So I became trained to be a collaborative attorney, which is a 40-hour training. And I was like, ooh, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I love this space. It's like two attorneys, the two clients sitting around a table, all working together. I was like, this is going to be amazing. It's, litigation is really tight, mediation is really loose. It's kind of in the middle. I did that for a couple years and it was just garbage. I mean, it's just garbage. It's the same because both attorneys are still in the role of zealous advocate. And so
Mm,
they're ethically obligated, which means they could lose their license to practice law if they don't act in the capacity of best interest of their client. So we'd be sitting around a table trying to reach agreements, but you have two attorneys who are acting as zealous advocates. And these are two very different people with two very different best interests. And you're outside of court. So now you don't even have the guidance of the judge saying you need this done by this date and this done. So it was an absolute mess. So I'm very open with telling people that is garbage. That is, and you
yeah,
can bring so many people in. You can bring a financial expert and a divorce coach, and it's like the cost just it
gets bigger
explodes,
and
just like
bigger.
litigation. It's goofy. And then I trained as a mediator.
Okay, before we go there, it
Yeah.
sounds like it was just another version of the same rules.
It is, and attorneys, and I am an attorney for 19 years, so I feel that it's fair for me to talk about attorneys because I'm not saying all of them are a-holes or jerks, but it is a business for them. This is their job, and they do have tremendous pressure with their billable hours. So what I noticed is in this collaborative space, I went in with a very open heart, thinking I'm going to go in and really work together and do it differently than the way that we're doing it in court, which is just so destructive and just doesn't make any sense. And in court, it's one thing at a time, which is why it takes so long.
Yeah.
So I was excited about collaborative. And then the more I did it, the more I realized, okay, wait a minute. These attorneys, they went to a 40-hour training. This for them is another stream of income, but they're doing the same thing they do in the courtroom. So
Mhm.
for me, it was, yeah.
One of the things that really strikes me with that, because to have change in your life, you have to do it differently. Like, you could be doing the exact same thing, or you could do
Mhm.
something different, but you have to do it in a different way. It has to come from a different place. Otherwise, you end up with the same result. So,
Yes.
what I'm hearing you say is that you're walking in with this, you're doing it differently. Like, you're like,
Yes.
this is the thing, it's going to be great. I'm going to come in differently as a different me rather than the, buttoned up, do it right. I'm gonna
Yes.
come in with this like love and collaboration and something different, but the other people were still coming in with that same energy uh,
Totally.
of the past. So,
Totally.
okay. And so then you moved to mediation. What was it that, like, was there a particular moment, a spark that you were like, "Oh, this will be the next right thing?"
No, I had a friend in who I had met along the way who told me about a training. And she was like, this mediator is doing a private training for like 10 people. It's over 2 weekends. And at that point, I had my eldest, Harvey, and then Juniper, my daughter, came, 19 months later. So I had two kids. My first office had a baby room with a crib and toys and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, that works out really well for me. I'm going to do that. So I didn't really even know that much about mediation because I mean, I knew it from law school. I took like an alternative dispute resolution course, but it's really not talked about in court. In
Mm.
court, sometimes the judge will order like mandatory mediation where the people have to go across the street. There's at the Daily Center in Chicago. They had to go across the street to this building and then be meet with a mediator. But the mediators who are there, it's from what I've heard, they're like attorneys who have done something and they have to like do this like public service by being this mediator or something. And so there never were agreements that were reached. So I kind of was like, oh, I don't, up until the training, I was thinking, I don't really know what this even is. But I did it because, again, I was looking for like other, like there has to be something different. It can't just be this broken system and then collaborative, this brokenness. It has to be something else. So I did the training and I really liked it. I really liked the energy of me shifting from, I could still be an attorney, I still do my CLEs, I still do my registration every year. I could still do that, but instead of being in the capacity of zealous advocate where I was just representing one person, as a mediator, I'm neutral. So I can work with both people. So now I'm cutting that other attorney out. That other attorney with other motivations and wanting to get the billable hours and wanting to cause all of these issues. So this case continues on and on and on, and we can keep billing. I completely cut that person out, and the judge is now cut out. So for me, I was like, ooh, this feels really good. This feels really good to me because now we can actually do stuff. We can actually guide people through. So, yeah, that was
It's
the
so
start.
interesting watching you and listening to you and energetically feeling you because I just do. Um,
Totally.
the shift back and forth, the moment you're like, and I can do my these things and these things, and then I could, advocate for both people. It's just
Mhm.
like the back and forth of the like moving from one energy to the next. And one of the things that I think I strive for in my journey is to be at a place where it doesn't matter if I go back to that thing, that I still feel and operate in that same energy as well as the
Yes.
better thing. And so it's just an interesting dynamic because I know that's what I'm always striving for. And,
Yes.
I look at my background and all the things I've been through, and there's a lot of like, ah, 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 ah.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
it's like, how do I move through all of that past in a way that feels like I'm still being the person that I am now?
Yes. Yes, like being the tree, I always think of it
Yep.
as a willow tree, like being the tree, holding that energy, holding that vibration. The branches and leaves can be flying all around in the storm around you, but yeah, holding
Yeah.
I'm in that same exact space right now of really grounding in this energy and maintaining it, throughout, regardless of what's going on outside.
Yeah. It's funny that you use the be the tree because when I was coming up with the be the wolf, it was the other thing that was there as like be the tree.
Oh, cool.
But then when I heard the story of the Yellowstone wolves, I was like, oh
Oh, I
yeah,
love that.
that
Yes.
that. Okay, so you started moving into it, and what did it open up for you?
Yeah.
What did it feel? How did it feel different for you?
It just felt so much more free. I mean, it really did. It was just me and the two people. And the first, I'd say maybe 6 months, it was more me just kind of shifting into that different space of like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not here to argue. I'm not causing any kind of friction. I'm actually helping heal and helping them move forward.
Yeah. What's the tangible experience of feeling free for you?
Oh my gosh, just feeling like I am operating and functioning in a way that is truly in alignment with who I am and what my life purpose is, with kind of like the tree. Like no one is telling me what to do. I don't have to follow any format. I don't have to follow a structure. I'm not relying or being impacted by any outside force. I'm just able to kind of fuel the space with my energy, with my medicine. That for me, that's what free is.
Cool. Okay, so go on.
So yeah, so then I still remember, and I'm good friends with my first couple who I shifted it to more of a spiritual place. And it was because at that same time, like when this whole shift was happening from litigation to mediation, all of my attorney friends in the courtroom, I was telling them, I'm like, I think I'm just going to do mediation. And every single one of them told me the same thing. You cannot have a standalone family law practice that is only mediation.
Mhm.
Litigation is the bread and butter of a family law practice. And I was like, I don't believe that. Like and the same when I was pregnant with Harvey, my eldest, everyone told me, you have to choose between being an attorney or being a mom. And I was like, I want to do both. Like, I don't want to do daycare or go to work. I want to do both. And then I started my practice and did both. And then when this happened and they said that, oh, you can't do just mediation, I was like, I don't believe that. I think that truly is just like a limiting belief that you all have in this system, and that's fine, but I can't do this way anymore because it's gross and it's destructive and it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense. And I think we all know that, but it is what it is. And at the point I had my own law practice. So I wasn't getting pressure for billables. You know what I mean? I had like 3 kids in 39 months. And so my experience was very different from my colleagues. And I still remember, and Dr. Michelle Brannick has told me I can say that she was my first client because she was, her and her husband, in this new space. Because I took um a holistic wellness coach course that was virtual. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, ooh, this feels really good. And I started learning about the 4 bodily selves, the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. I started learning about all these things that I was like, ooh, this all makes sense for me of like living life. And I started doing those things. And then I was like, ooh, I think divorce is actually a really great container to share this stuff with people because they're feeling so low and
Right.
they're feeling so gross. And so that's, yeah, with Dr. Michelle Brannick, and she's a naturopath. So, of course, like in hindsight, and we're really good friends now, it makes so much sense to me because it's so aligned, like her vision with medicine being this natural, I get a blood draw from her every year. And then she tells me, okay, Jen, this is off. You need these supplements. And it's
Yeah.
all earth based. So of course, like in reflection, I'm like, well, that makes sense that they were my first couple because I remember gifting them an essential oil, a lavender essential oil each spray, and saying like, this will calm you if you start feeling like overwhelmed or stressed. And I remember when I gave it to them, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm an attorney, like, and I'm now talking about essential oils. Like, it was very much the programs, of like still, and even throughout this journey, I mean, I started doing it and then I started doing more. And then my journey continued, deeper and deeper and deeper. I went to a Tony Robbins event in like 2017. And I was like, that's amazing.
Did you walk on fire with
I
him?
did. Yes.
What was
Did
your
you? Have you
experience?
done that?
I do fire. I lead fire walks. Actually, we
Oh,
do.
that's awesome.
I do it differently than Tony because
Yeah.
typically with Tony, you just walk the fire once, maybe twice,
Yeah, just once.
but
There's so many people.
we walk 20, 30 times because what it
Oh,
requires from
wow.
you is to elevate your energy and to
Yeah.
maintain it. And so,
Yes.
like anybody can amp up, like there's that moment, right? The mother lifts the car to save the baby, right?
Totally.
Anybody can do that for a moment, but to be able to maintain that higher energy
Yes.
is a really powerful thing. So,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah. Okay. So you started doing more spiritual work, more personal development
Yes.
work, and it opened up some stuff for you and greater understanding, it sounds like.
Totally.
And
And then
before we go on, what did that, as those things started to happen, right? I know we're looking at the job and the business,
mhm.
but what else started to shift in your life as you started leaning more into those things?
I mean, everything. I stopped drinking alcohol, um, for like 3.5 years. And it was just because I was on all these different boards and in my community, and things started not making sense. The deeper I started going into like my own spiritual practice and the more I started understanding how everything works, my external world started just crashing, of course, which now I understand more why that was happening. But back in, 2018, I didn't really understand it. I was like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol because maybe that's what's making me lose my mind. And I never drank a ton, but
Right.
I was like, something needs to change. So yeah, that started crumbling. And then when I stopped drinking alcohol, that's when I realized like, ooh, my connection with my husband isn't really here anymore. Like, I'm a very different person than I was before, and now I'm not drinking, and we're not going out, and we're not and he owned a a bar, and a music and art venue that
Yeah.
we would always hang out in, and so I was like, "Well, we can't really do that anymore." And yeah, then divorce happened in 2019. And that was really, by that point, Solace, my legal practice, by that point, I was pretty solid in like kind of, divorcing with love and mindfulness and intentionality and being intentional of what kind of relationship you want to have moving forward, what you want for your children, like that kind of stuff. It was very, very strongly present. Um,
How was it moving through your own divorce, doing what you do?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron, my ex-husband, was so amazing because I was the one who initiated it. He, has always been very flexible as a person, which I always appreciate. And he trusted me to go to my office and just the two of us talk through everything. And I was very generous. I was very kind. I explained everything. And at the time we were earning different incomes. So I was very I knew I knew the agreements that we reached. I knew from being an attorney, if we were in court, there's no way that those things would have happened. And I was happy, to do that. And I was really grateful to him. So it was really, yeah, it wasn't, I mean, there was a lot of emotion. And there's still that emotion lasted until I'd say truly probably a month ago. There were a lot of it, which happens in divorce. There's a lot of deep stuff. And I didn't know what I know now. I wasn't doing what I'm doing now at Solace in 2019. I mean, so 2019 until now, we had COVID, which was a
Huge.
massive accelerant for everyone. I started dating this guy a month after my divorce, but we were separated for a long time. So it wasn't like it was like a rebound thing. But I'd never done online dating before. So I did online dating. I met this guy. He seemed really amazing. That was like a 3-year journey with a really someone who I'd never experienced like a narcissistic personality. And for someone who's very spiritual, I do feel in hindsight that it was necessary to attract him in because I learned so much. I grew so much. I was single for 3 years after because I was healing from all of this stuff. And so he came in 2019 and things started getting a little weird in 2021 where I was like, what is going on? With this cognitive dissonance that I'm feeling that I have no idea what's going on. And then plant medicine came into my life and that changed everything.
Before we go there, it's one thing that's really interesting that happens a lot is like when we're on the precipice of moving to something new,
Hmm.
it's like we make the changes, we let go of the thing, but so often we haven't really done the shifts that we need
Yeah.
to be able to hold the next level. This is one of the reasons why I love firewalking so much because it helps you with that. But
Yeah.
and so you left the relationship, but you were open, but you didn't choose something of the next frequency.
No,
Now,
exactly.
I am gonna guess, because this is what happens, I'm gonna
Hmm.
guess that relationship stirred up a lot of old stuff that needed to be healed.
Totally. And I'm so grateful to him. I'm still so grateful. Like I shared, I've never had that experience. I've always dated guys who were very kind and, and just very fun. It was exactly in hindsight, I needed to attract him because he did exactly what you said. He was such a powerful reflector. He just brought up all of these things, all of these things.
Yeah, and so what impact did the divorce and that relationship have on really pushing this business to saying out loud what you actually are here to do?
Oh, they both were amazing in that because I fueled so much, like, after my divorce, and even though I was with that guy, Corey, I fueled so much energy into my practice. And at that point, it was Valentine's Day 2020, and I had a past client who she was a therapist, and she offered for me to have an office, a solace office in her practice. And she went through, we did kind of like a barter, like, okay, I'll be in your place and I'll help you and your husband go through this divorce journey and I'll guide you through it. And it was so interesting because my guides, the whole time that I've been co-creating solace, it's come from divine messages. Like it's all I've always been very, very open to receive. And my guides told me, like, don't give her the toolbox. I used to have a solace love toolbox. Don't give her the toolbox. Don't give her the PDFs. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, why am I being told this? So anyway, flash forward to February 2020. I'm on her like mass email list for her therapy practice. And she's like, we have a new practice. And it's like balance divorce mediation, which I'm solace divorce mediation is all my narrative. It's everything that I had been sharing that I put on the website.
Mhm.
Everything is copywritten and trademarked. So I reached out to my attorney, I reached out to her, but that kicked it into gear too. So I'm grateful for her too, because it was my marriage ended in 2019, February 2020, things were weird with the hockey player. And then this happens. And I mean, it was truly when the world was like freaking out about COVID, my kids and I all were sick right away. We didn't die. I don't do pharmaceuticals. So I wasn't, I'm very, very health conscious in the sense of we have an immune system, we're strong, we're healthy, we're going to get through this. So we all, myself and my three kids, all were sick right away, like April. And we didn't die. So our mindset towards COVID was very different than I think a lot of other people. And so I was working, 14, 16-hour days because Aaron, my ex-husband, he had a bar, he was forced to close. So I was paying, for my business, my home, his home, even as divorced, just because we share kids and I wanted to make sure everything was good. But yeah, I mean, all of that combined was fuel for like this massive just so much time, so much work, so much putting it all together, creating the emotional handbook, creating the legal handbook, creating really like the structure for it all.
So by saying out loud, because you haven't actually fully said out loud what it is that you
Mhm.
do, you're here.
Oh, girl.
So
The
what?
message just came. Yeah. So, the work that I really do, I mean, I do guide people through the legal process. We have a separate legal team that drafts all the legal docs and e-files and gets them set up for court. And so we do all the legal stuff. But the message that I just received October 12th, so almost 2 months ago, um, is that the work that I'm really doing at Solace is the legal stuff, yes, but the deeper work, the soul work is I am helping people to understand the reflections that their spouse is giving them, to understand what their spouse is showing them by helping them from shifting, from that external, he did this, she did this, blah, blah, right, wrong, good, bad. It's like
Right.
none of that matters. Shifting from the external, internal, and recognizing that everything that your partner is saying and doing is for you and it's making you feel something. And the power is how is it making you feel? Because you've been feeling that your whole life. And it comes from a lineage belief. It comes from something that you learned from your parents, who learned it from their parents, who learned it from their parents. And the work that I'm really doing is helping people to understand this, understand the soul contract of marriage,
Mhm.
understand, think of relationship differently than the way they think of it now. And what I'm really doing is shifting them into a space of helping them become the active co creators of their dream life. And like I said, this message just came through October 12th. And what's exciting for me where I'm at right now, but it's also, and I feel like you will understand this completely because I'm sure you've gone through this as well, which is why my guides also told me when they gave me that message, they told me that I was to capture this on Facebook Lives. And
Oh,
so for 3 weeks, I was like, what am I going to do Facebook Lives about? Like about me?
yeah.
And the reason, one step back, the reason that I said about me is because, like I shared for 11 years, solace has been created through divine messages that then I've had to go through in my own life before I could incorporate them into the solace journey and teach them to my clients. And so when this message came through, I was like, oh, this is exciting. Like before it was like divorce with love. And then I went through a divorce with love. And
Yeah.
authenticity is the soul of this journey. And then I became authentic in every single area of my life, like stuff like that. But now this message, Queen, I'm like,
Okay.
seriously,
So
this is
can
where I'm
I
at.
are you willing to go deep for a minute here?
Totally. Yes,
All right.
of course.
So, right, we talked earlier about, when you would be talking about the old legal system or,
Yes.
the currently, and you were like, ah, ah, ah. And then so
Yes.
you were talking about what you're doing now, and you're like, oh, la, 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 like so good and so open. So, what does that old system, what is the reflection there for you to learn? Because it's not always right. We see it most in relationship, but it's
Hmm.
also the plan, it's also the system, it's also, it's so many other things
Totally.
that is the reflection. So for you, what is
Yeah.
the reflection that stifly gray, contractive thing was there to teach you?
Yeah. I mean, I think when it was in my world, because it's such an interesting question, because I feel like where I'm at right now, like today, that isn't even part of my external reality anymore. Like it truly is not even part of it. But the reflection before, like what it was reflecting to me before was, of course, I mean, I was living so tight, I was living very stressful. I was living in a way that wasn't working, so of course, like that system at the time when I was in it, feeling all of the things was a beautiful reflection that, of course, back then I had no idea of even what we're talking about.
Right.
Back then I would have been like, wait,
Yeah,
what?
of course. And when you talk about it still, you still get super contractive.
Oh, I know. I
So there's
know.
still something there for you to
There
uncover,
is.
which is exciting.
Yeah, and you know what it probably is actually when you say that, because I do feel it. I still feel it. I think it is with me. And again, this conversation is so timely and it's also so raw because I haven't gotten through it yet. Like I'm still real deep in where what I'm going through. And I think what I'm going through, and I'm so grateful you brought that up because I think it's going to help, because I think what I'm going through is like truly shifting from like this third dimensional space to this higher space. And I think for 2 years now, maybe 3, 2022, I started talking to my shaman very much about like light and dark and energy and the new earth, those kind of things. But I think for the last 3 years, I've kind of been like one foot in each world. And just because of course, it's like there is that even though I can't stand the courtroom, even though I can't stand that, that is part of what I'm shifting into this new space is releasing, okay, attorney, releasing that completely of what that means and what that has always meant. And I think that's probably part of that reflection for me is like, and
Yeah,
I'm really, again, I'm so grateful you brought it up because it's helped me in this moment realize, okay, wait a minute, that is a really good reflection because that's showing me that I don't belong in that space. Otherwise, I wouldn't be getting so irritated when I talk about how ridiculous and destructive and stupid it is. You know what I mean? Because
right,
it's so dumb.
right.
But
Right,
it
and
is
you're just like,
shifting it.
"Oh, I'm so dumb, ah!"
But when I
Okay,
shift into this
well,
new
let's
space, it won't even affect me.
yeah, let's shift out of that for just a second. What would it be like, and I'm gonna after this, I want you to tell us how we can get in touch with you, and then I have one more question. But
Yeah.
before we do that, what would it be like to be free of that when you talk about all of that stuff and the rules and the stupid layers and layers and
Hmm.
layers and layers of stuff? What would it feel like to actually be free of that?
Mm.
And what could that
That
open up for you as you move into this next chapter?
totally. That I mean, that question is so beautiful, and I've been like I said, I'm really in it right now. Like I'm
Yeah,
deep in it. Like I'm up and down and lots of crying, lots of releasing, and not even about anything specific.
yeah,
4 days ago, I started doing this breath work from my dear friend Jacques Throne, and it's called Releasing Obstacles. He does like a monthly meetup. He's a shaman. He's amazing. And I did it 4 days ago in the bathtub. I was like sobbing in the bathtub. I had just driven from Chicago with my 3 kids and my 2 cats in a snowstorm. It was awful. And I was sobbing and I listened to this. And so to answer your question, in that breath work, I can feel that version, that energetic vibration of me. And she started to connect with me now,
Nice.
saying, "You are me, and I am you, and I am here. And in order for you in the vibration you are at to get here, you have to go all in. You have to go fully in." And so that's which I love about meeting with you today. It's like, it's so aligned because that is, and I just put out 2 days ago Solace University, just solaceuniversity.com. And I'm so excited about it because I'm actually speaking it. I'm actually speaking the truth of this is the way that I see divorce. And it's not me. It's not like my way. This is like divine messages have come through, and I am the vessel to share this. And just in the last couple days, I've stepped into that space too, of being like, you know what? I am really grateful that I'm being given this opportunity to be this vessel, and now where I'm at, because of my spiritual journey, because of my own personal path, because of all the dark night of the souls that I've gone through over the, past 15 years, but really, I mean, the last 2 years have been pretty wild with my dad dying, but there's been so much that's happened
Yeah.
that I'm in a space now where it's like, and so what is that going to feel like? It's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel amazing when I'm talking in front of thousands of people sharing this is a new way of going through this. Like the old way, the courtroom way to me truly feels the same as like a lobotomy. That's how we used to do things in the medical world, is we used to drill hole in people's head. It's just, so for me, it's very exciting. It's like, okay, I can help shift into this new way of doing things that is so mindful, so intentional, and it's teaching people spiritual things. And for years, when my dad was alive, I would ask him, I'd be like, "Dad, this is what I want to say. So, how can I make this resonate with the third dimensional human?" That's literally what I would ask him. And then when he died, I started chat GPTing it because I was like, I don't know how to relate to the third dimension. And
Well,
now I'm totally free where I'm not doing that anymore because I know people can feel what I'm talking about. And I also know that the messages that have come through are rooted in love and expansiveness and growth and healing and divine feminine, which is the new energy, the new earth energy.
what I feel is exciting about this is when you heal that animosity towards the court system, that
Yes.
your energy will be so much more open, even, free, and well received,
Hmm.
which is really cool. And you're on the path, which is even better. How do people get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me through my website, solacedivorce.com. I have a YouTube as well. It's on there. Sorry. Or they can, yeah, the website is the best because
Okay,
they can schedule things, free consultation. I can work with anyone all over the country as a mediator. I can serve anyone anywhere.
that's amazing.
And then I have that Solace University, which is, I'm really so excited about it because there's so many free videos and PDFs for people, and it's all in one space. And I'm going to keep adding more and more information to like help people watch these videos in your own space where it's quiet, where no one else knows what you're listening to, and really give them this whole new way of looking at things, like how divorce is actually empowering for children to feel and witness their parents living their authentic truth and doing it intentionally. Like, so there's so many videos.
100%. And so my last question for you is, for you, what does being the wolf mean?
Oh, queen, I love you. I love this question. I love, like I said, I love what you're doing. For me, being the wolf is truly living from a space of authenticity. It's returning back to source, returning back to our divine magic and essence, and tuning into that space and sharing that with the world. Like being the wolf is, following that inner guidance, being that presence. And yeah, wolves are so badass.
Yeah.
They're just so badass. Like your Yellowstone
Yeah.
story that you shared. I mean, they're amazing, and everyone is a wolf. I think that's the bigger share too, is everybody is a wolf. It's just, I think so many people are so afraid,
Yeah.
and they don't even know how. They don't even know how to step into it. So I would say for all those people, continue to follow this podcast because this queen is amazing, and really just, yeah, go in nature. Wolves love being in nature. That's where they live. So, and I'm the same. It's like, if I'm feeling depleted, what do? I go in nature. I hug a tree for a long time. I
Exactly.
sit in the sun and I breathe. And yeah, so
Exactly.
that is being the wolf.
And all of that is free. Well, thank you,
Totally.
Jen, for sharing this messy middle part of the journey. I think it's so important for people to see that it's not just like, I was here and now I'm here and
No.
everything is great. So, thank you for being vulnerable, being open, and sharing. And everybody, remember, when you operate from the truth of who you are, humanity evolves.
Mm.
See you all next time on Be the Wolf. Bye, everyone.